Hey there, welcome to the Reinsurance Podcast, the place where we dive into all things reinsurance, the coolest part of insurance. We're your hosts, Jared and Ben, a couple of ex-practitioners who loved the industry so much we founded Supercede to tackle some of its biggest headaches. And we're here to share our insights and stories with expert guests as we uncover what's really going on in the industry.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Reinsurance Podcast. Today we are in a slightly new version of our studio.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a kind of cockpit, like driving setup for some reason, except driving towards my own reflection, where I, Jared. But anyway, we digress because we have an important topic.
The brokers have been building technology for a long time to help deliver value and insights to clients. So if we look at that kind of angle of, you're just a broker who's gotten $300 million a year to deploy on things to help software to help you deliver value to clients. What might that look like? Talk about what brokers have done in the past, solutions they've thought through, how they think about insights that they can garner for clients. That's the high-level topic for today.
Yeah. Now, the working title that I pitched to Cordy is, how should you spend it?
Yeah.
If you're in the privileged position to be at a big broker and you've got a giant technology budget in front of you, or indeed, if you're working for a brokerage and you're aware that budget has been established, what should you consider pushing for or asking for from your overlords?
Well, and if we distill it down to like first principles, like how are you able to deliver the most value to clients, and then generate a return and yourself for that money? And we think about this conversation that's always sat behind the industry of like build versus buy. And I think that it's a really important thread when you look at it from the lens of a broker, because there's huge swaths of technology that they absolutely should build. They get data and insights from such an array of clients around the world that like they should build things that are able to let them leverage that accumulation of data and provide insights and value and benchmarking to their clients. And there's a ton of stuff that they should buy because it's piping, and like they're not going to make the mistake of building an operating system like they did in the 1990s.
I think there's a subtle distinction here as well. It's never quite precisely enough characterized, but we also broke down buy into buy and rent. I think.
Yeah.
Like build was the obvious kind of no-no nowadays. Like as much as there was an in vogue phase for everybody to call themselves a technology company. Yeah. I think what is now a technology company is so far out.
That phase is gone.
You remember that?
Yeah.
We are not, like as an industry, brokers and insurers and reinsurers are not technology companies. That's not where they bring their value. Yeah. Getting your workforce to build you things is a bad idea. Yeah. Buying is basically also a bit of a challenge because that typically means you're paying somebody else to build you something. Yeah. And then usually that means because the pace of technological change is so fast right now, it means it goes out of date very quickly, and so you're going to be shopping for a new one very soon. Yeah. But also paying a bunch of money to transform the legacy of the old one that you bought, which always tends to be more expensive, than actually building the thing in the first place. Yeah. So this rent option emerges, which is again, how do you pay for a service effectively? How do I get whatever it is? To your point, going back to first principles, what is the thing I was actually trying to solve, and how do I, pay a known fee for that thing to be sold reliably and continuously iterated on and updated, and never going out of date. That's and also crucially being able to unplug it if need be and put something else in quite easily. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of firms are leaning their thinking.
Well, and I think that unplugging ability is sort of turned off entirely if you build it yourself. Right, we know some of the big brokers who've decided to go and build a part of their tech stack that they, in many ways, have had to do because nothing has existed before. Think like core systems of record, right? Aon has a system called Grids. Guy Carpenter uses a system called Open Twins, I believe. So the brokers use similar solutions. Like if you've built that yourself, like there's no unplug option, and that's okay. Like that's foundational to how they run and operate their business. And I think if you think about the buckets that technology might sit in, one bucket would be like just how do you run your business, monitoring premiums that have come through and claims that clients owe, and like just the basics of running a large organization. Then you have the work around the other extreme, which is like how do you deliver value to clients like provide insights and other things that clients will, one, give you more brokerage or let you win more accounts or charge more or sell consulting services off the back of. Those things might be linked if you can somehow extract enough premium data to sell things like speed of payments or similar. But they're oftentimes different functions altogether. And then you have this layer around like how data gets transferred between parties, right? Clients to their broker, brokers to capital providers, whether that's the insurers on a retail book or the reinsurers. And in that thread, like very little value accrues to the broker for them trying to own that piping, right?
I think you're right. I think compatibility is the word that comes to mind here, right? And guess what, folks? There's a reason why so many people use email and spreadsheets and haven't replaced it with any given party in the value chain's own version, because your own version can't be used by your counterparties, at least not for everything they do. Everybody does lots of business with everybody else. And the only things historically that have been transferable to literally everybody you do business with have been emails and Excel. So I think really what we need to see is specialist tools being introduced only where there's a rationale for like, this is our specific value add. You know, as this broker, we are the experts in X line of business or coverage or X type of service that uniquely we can offer that our competitors can't. That is where you should be putting a lot of your funding. But equally, as an industry, we need to upgrade our ability to support modern tools for compatibility and data transfer, so that if those tools, those that you're investing as your sort of leading edge competitive element, can't be supplied with the right input data, or are reliant, a bit like Andy said, on PDFs being sent to you, that's never going to work. You're going to effectively undermine your ultimate goal. So we need to get to a point as an industry where we have really, really amazing, compatible, fluid data sharing and exchange within the industry, so that actually brokers can then add their own services built on that really exchangeable foundation.
Well, and I think when you think about that relationship that those elements have, I think there's this element of that compatibility being something that is inherently aligned with like convenience, right, to a degree, where part of that convenience element is if I'm working with 5 partners, because the big insurance companies do, but like I don't want to go and have to use 5 different systems for the same work that I have to do for different accounts, or sometimes for the same account. Like you're creating a friction point and a burden upon which I will just email you spreadsheets full of data because you've made it inconvenient for me to do something centralized. But where that fragmentation isn't an issue is when the data lands inside these big broking houses' sort of suite of tools upon which they can extract deeply insightful pieces of data and turn around with unique positions of guidance and structures, approaches and ways to think about capitalization to help solve client needs, like whatever that might be. That's now in a point where the client has put data someplace. Those parties have gone away and come back with insights. That doesn't need to be centralized. Now that's actually better because each of those firms has built and invested in technology based on their unique perspectives and insights and everything else, and they're returning their unique view back to me on how best they think they can solve the needs that I have as a client. And I think if you're in the position, as you sort of laid out to start, of how you most effectively deploy this capital, leaning into where that capital delivers fundamental value to your clients, and looking at like where can you just get the piping sorted, right? Where can you just, if I get the data piece sorted because the clients get it in one place, I can do these things for you. Like understanding that divide, because I think if they pour more money into like the piping, that will never gain that much traction because it creates that fragmented experience that you outlined, like erodes that value, and then it sort of sucks up so much of that money that even $1 billion goes quickly if you're pouring money into like a black hole that's never going to return any value to you.
And I think this just comes down to if we take a big step back, because we've been in the technology weeds sort of at the start of the episode. It's kind of like a broker is a hotel or something in some ways. You don't spend all of your investment monies on the website for your hotel, right? It's very important that you have APIs available that go into your booking system so that people can work with you easily and seamlessly, even if they're using booking.com or equivalent search sites and so on. But actually where you deliver your real value is maybe you've got incredible technology that makes the beds really comfortable. You invest it in, fancy lighting or a panoramic swimming pool with views over, whatever, or the best chefs in town, or all this kind of
infinite number of ways you can add your
so many better ways that you can spend that money on the actual service that your clients are paying for than trying to turn your hotel into a technology company. The same for an airline. All of these kind of very valuable specialist services, I think, sometimes get a bit distracted by basics of tech that really should be centralized as best as possible. And your tech, obviously, to the extent you build it, if you've got a booking system, if you've got something like that, that should be aiming for maximum compatibility, but not trying to be, distinct or exciting. You add value in other ways once the information is coming into your system.
Yeah, well, I think the buyers are becoming more sophisticated as well. And what I mean by that is, on the consumer side, we've evolved quite quickly to go like, actually, I don't want to be trapped into just one little ecosystem. I just don't want to be sort of stuck there. I want the ability to sort of move things around or join bigger programs and go one place, source a variety of options and make decisions, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm going to stay with more than one hotel. I'm going to fly with more than one airline.
And if I can roll up things and centralize my decision making and my data and all that stuff, all that's really, really good. But the position has been such that people have not thought that companies make the same buying decision, but I think companies and enterprises are getting wise to that as well. Like I was at lunch a few weeks ago with a couple of brokers, and they were making some commentary around, well, if we owned all the client data and they had to use us for everything, like we would get so. It's like, correct, but you have to stop thinking about how you personally only get the most value out of this. And you have to think about what the clients want, because undoubtedly that's the best result for you, but the clients are aware of this now. The clients don't want to be, they're not going to walk into being locked in an ecosystem that only benefits that one broking partner and then is harder for them to leave, because they don't want to be trapped in one airline or hotel chain forever. They want to say, no, I like that hotel chain when I'm in the US. And I go to the US a lot and I have all the things I see but like when I go to Asia, I use a different chain. Like those are both fine, right? And so you have to recognize that the clients, especially the insurance companies who have big worldwide books, think about it in the exact same way. Sure, they might use Aon or GC for like most of their business in a couple key geographies. But if they think about their worldwide book and everything else, they will always have a lens of keeping their options open, keeping other brokers honest. Like, and you have to think about it from the value you can deliver sometimes is actually predicated on how easy are you to work with.
And I think this is very much a case of our industry maybe getting its sort of tech insights a bit more slowly than other spaces, but we're at the point where we're only just realizing that the multi-homing fallacy applies, and that actually a ton of work, that went into, for example, mobile phones, laptops, operating systems, etc. One of the most famous examples in management schools and so on. It was wisdom in theory, in the noughties, that you should do everything in your power to prevent multi-homing. And people thought, oh, okay, so I should try and make sure that if they're using Apple or Windows, make it really, really difficult for them to use any services that are not ours. And you saw a similar thing in the mobile phone space. You saw similar things. If they become our customer, don't let them even try anything from any of our competitors. Partly undermined by lots of European quite expensive lawsuits, but also by the customer experience. People don't want to be tied down. And I think actually because we had so much exposure to that as consumers, as businesses during that era where it was really annoying. It's like, why can't I open a Word doc on this operating system, or why doesn't this just work? And you realize it's because competitors for a service that you really care about are fighting with each other and don't want to play nice.
Yep.
We are turned off to that nowadays. Like, as any user type persona, we want people who are like, oh, you want to do that? Great. We'll make it seamless. We'll help. Compatibility, ease of use, ease of in and out, swap about. And hopefully they won't change from you as a service provider because you bring them a great flexible service, not because you trap them and, you know, don't let them leave. I think that multi-homing fallacy has only recently been spotted by our industry, and we've gone, oh yeah, maybe they will do business with other people, and we should support that rather than make it difficult for them.
We should win on adding value rather than people. But I think you're right. Like, one of the reasons those lawsuits were so sizable was because of the outrage and the impact on the consumer, right? And the evidence of saying, well, here is documentation that says you explicitly made this worse for your clients, so they couldn't, like, so it was a very heavy slap as a result, partly because of that, right? It wasn't just the change, it was because the outrage was so significant from the buyers. And I think you're right, that it was slow for enterprise to catch on to that, but like as we transition and blend that, what was that, there was that phrase on the consumerization of tech being an idea, right? How enterprise software is looking more intuitive and accessible and all the things that make you like consumer software. I think you could extrapolate and say there's also the consumerization of enterprise software also applying to like the buying, like psychology, if you will. People going like, no, I'm not going to be locked into your thing because at some point we'll want to pivot or change, and like, we're trapped into this, you know, walled garden that you've created for us, which you've tricked us into. Like, we're too savvy to that now. And so I think you're seeing that buyer psychology now transcending the consumer sphere and moving into the enterprise sphere.
Absolutely. And I don't think you would see, you know, we talked about Andy's commentary at the start of this episode. I don't think you would see any broking leader stand up and say, our goal is for not even a single one of our clients necessarily, to put all of their business through us and to not use any of the other brokers. Right. There's nobody who realistically thinks that would happen, because buyers wouldn't want to risk, you know, that sort of leverage or you know, being basically owned by a single partner. They want to have the leverage, the competition. We talk a lot about the healthy competition in the broking market. So sensibly, no broking leader is going to be standing out there saying, we want clients to only use us. So no technology leader at a broking firm should be thinking, we should build solutions that push people towards only using us. You want to have an acknowledgement and a leadership of the fact that we want to help clients use lots of different partners, but be most excited about the deals they do with us.
Because in some ways, if you play that out, you could also see it backfiring in such a way where the pursuit of that walled garden piece could turn off clients who are like, we do a big chunk of our business here, and they're becoming easier for us to work with, and you're kind of trying to go down this route, which just makes me more wary. So even if they may be the broker on most of the accounts, you could see them, if they misplay that card, like clients just kind of going, I'm just going to move a couple of these deals over here to like safe space in case you try to entrap me on these other things. Like we watch these things from a zoomed out view now, right? We have this ability as buyers in all areas to kind of go, it seems like a great deal, and I like what you're offering here, but like, let me just run it through some other scenarios that I've seen play out in my experience before, and make a decision. And so I think those things are all playing out here. But I think that's not to say it's not a super exciting space. When I look at some of the software the broking firms have built in the past to do, you know, portfolio optimization and exposure aggregation and tons and tons of really powerful tech where clients can dump the data on the broker after a journey currently of the broker organizing and cleansing the data. But the brokers can then turn around and say, here's how we think about these things. Here's how and why we might have a perspective that's slightly different than CAP models for these reasons, and why we want to do this, and here's why we think about these other factors, and we're going to, like, all of that is immensely valuable. for the brokers to have, and if they devote most of their resources to that kind of stuff, as you said, the clients will go, oh no, we have moved more deals there because the depth of insights that they're able to give us is so significantly better. That's how you win the deals, right?
I mean, wouldn't it be even better if clients have already cleaned all their data themselves, using certain software providers to get their data?
We can give a reference if needed.
If we can get their data ready to the point where they can see across their whole book all their data in the same way, and then they turn to their brokers and say, okay, look, broker, there's 5 of you, and there's like hundreds of us. I don't want to build my own tech for this thing.
Yep.
You're spending $1 billion over the next 3 years on technology. Don't worry about the cleaning part. Don't worry about the deal management part. We've got that sorted. What can you do? Show us what you can do, and that's when exciting things start to happen. That's when you get the really, really impressive, talented brokers out there thinking in interesting ways about real risks, about real problems. You go, okay, I've got an insurance company who's got, I can actually see what risks they've got now. Brilliant. Yeah. I can actually see what they care about and what their limits are, what their exposures are. So, okay, I reckon we could do something like this. And in fact, I've got a whole portfolio of clients who are bringing me their data like this, so I can give them benchmarking, I can give them ideas about how things are changing in the market at large and where they should be positioning themselves to get the best reinsurance coverage, the best deal, in a way that only really talented reinsurance brokers can do. Yeah. And if you give them your technology budget on the basis of a foundation of clean industry data flowing around, I'm really excited for what reinsurance brokers will bring to the market at that point.
And there's so much exciting stuff there. And if you kind of run that comparison the other way, if they deploy a bunch of tech and the output is, but this time the limit profiles are all correct.
Yeah, for the deals you do with this broker.
Right. The client's not going to go, this is amazing. Like they're kind of expecting them to do that. Like they don't always do that, right? Mistakes do happen when you do this work in spreadsheets. But for the brokers to go away and we spent $100 million on tech, and now we can guarantee we've not made mistakes in your aggregation calculations, we've not made mistakes in how we bandage your risks. The client's just going to go, whew. So on the other ones you were doing, what was happening? Before you did this, what was happening? And we were just winging it on spreadsheets. So it has to be aligned where the cedent and the brokers see that as a partnership, and an agreement where it's like, great, if we help do the data that comes in cleanly, and then you can that has to be, and it should be seen. It feels self-evident that that's a collaboration there, right?
Yeah.
How do we get to deep insights that can have a fundamental impact on what kind of reinsurance we buy, how much we buy, how we structure those deals.
And then you're going to choose your reinsurance broker based on, all right, I'm placing this cat deal who can bring me the best insights on getting a deal done for this coverage, this region. I'm placing a casualty deal and I'm worried about PFAS and what that's going to mean for me. Should I be buying more? Should I be buying less? Bring me your insight on that specific thing. That's where I want an advisor. I never wanted a janitor. I wanted an advisor who's going to tell me what to do and show me what the best options are based on their much broader view of a market. And we're missing that today because they're all too distracted with manual data cleaning.
Well, and we've talked a lot before about what is the future of reinsurance broking, and it will look very much like this. That world where it's well, you need 200 million in capacity. I have the biggest network and I can go source that for you. That world, the way the industry has evolved and grown, it's still relationship driven, but that is less and less the thing. Most brokers around the world can source enough capacity for clients, even on the big accounts. So it's not just the sourcing of capital in that same way. It's the how much genuine insight and advisory services can you provide as it pertains to me solving business problems related to risk. And the better brokers are able to leverage and utilize and build technology to help deliver that insight to clients, the better they will be able to do that, and the more they will grow as businesses. And it's a super profitable way to do business as well, because you can that technology you can just rinse. Once you get a step change or a differentiated position on that, you begin to rinse that over and over. Clients around the world begin to realize that if you want to understand something like this or get these things, these couple broking houses can do that fundamentally better than everyone else, and that just helps you chip away at market position and things. So I think it's exciting. I'm glad that people are still turning around and procuring budgets of this size. And I think it's going to unlock a huge amount of value and insights for what that broking team can do in the future, what reinsurance broking will look like.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Supercede's challenge to the reinsurance brokers.
Yeah.
We'll bring you clean reinsurance deals and data. You bring us the innovation and show us where the future goes from here.
That's the story. It's an exciting one, though. I think the future of reinsurance broking is very, very bright.
And on that light shell, on that exciting forward look, it's time to end.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Reinsurance Podcast. If you enjoyed our show, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review to let us know how we're doing, preferably 5 stars. For more insights and updates, follow us on LinkedIn and visit our website at supercede.com/podcasts. You'll find the links in the show notes.